Near the river, two photographers stumble upon a woman's body while trying to capture shots of local birds. Meanwhile, top forensic pathologist Kang is wrapping up his last class at the police academy before retirement to spend more time with his daughter in the USA, whose visit got delayed. Kang gets called to the crime scene and meets Detective Min, his former student, who isn't taken seriously by her colleagues. Min finds mysterious footprints and takes pictures, while Kang examines the dismembered body, noticing that all parts except for an arm were left behind. At the police station, they learn the victim is Yuna, a 29-year-old who had been reported missing. Kang asks for theories, and Min suggests that the murderer wanted them to find and identify the body. Detective Yoon berates her as usual, thinking this was just some crazy guy with a grudge, but Kang agrees with her and asks her to stay for the autopsy. Kang is cold and methodical with his work, but Min can't stand the sight for long and leaves the room to throw up. Later, Kang gives the Kappa summary of the preliminary autopsy. Yuna died from a fractured skull caused by a long hard object. Soil containing granite was found in her nostrils and mouth, marking the place where she died. There were also signs of salt that indicate she was dismembered by the sea, so the body was moved between the killing and the cutting. Yet the parts were thrown in the river, which adds a third location to the list. Min remembers there's a construction company working on the coastal reclamation project, and their factories are on the seafront. Meanwhile, Yoon has found out Yuna used to have a boyfriend, and the cops are divided into teams to follow these two leads. Yoon goes around the city asking if anyone has seen the boyfriend and has to arrest multiple gamblers until he comes across Byung-do playing the horses. He's taken to the station for interrogation, but Byung-do swears he hasn't seen Yuna in a month and the night of the crime he had been gambling. In the meantime, Min interviews a few factory managers who swear they're working 24/7 to keep up with order, especially because they keep being harassed by environmental protesters, so it's impossible for a murder to happen there without them seeing it. However, the workers still end up finding the missing arm in the soil. Later in the evening, Min visits Kang at his home to discuss the case, and she's told to open the door with a piece of rope he left there because the electronic lock is broken. After petting Kang's dog, Detective Min presents crime scene photos to Kang. He concludes that the killer is trying to send a message and that the three locations should have something in common. Min stays up late investigating and discovers a link. The next day, Min presents her findings. An environmental group, I Love Venus, has been protesting a construction company destroying sea and river life. The group's leader, Sung-ho, wrote a book comparing the local river to the famous statue of Venus, drawing parallels between the destruction of the river and the statue being severed. This matches the state of Yuna's body, and all three crime locations were construction sites managed by the same company. On the day of the crime, there was a 20-minute halt in construction due to a confrontation between workers and protesters, providing the killer an opportunity. Sung-ho, who has a disability that makes him walk with a cane, matches the twisted footprint and hole in the mud found at the crime scene. Min's research is taken seriously, and she and Yuna are sent to arrest Sung-ho. He surrenders easily, admitting he has to pay for what he did. At the station, Yuna struggles to get information from Sung-ho, who only talks about the river's species. Min takes over, knowing that Sung-ho's family lost their livelihood and homes due to the construction. This loss led to Sung-ho's father dying, and his sister Soo-jin ending her life. Min also reveals she sprayed water outside to take a new footprint from Sung-ho, which matches the one from the scene of the crime. Seeing this evidence, Sung-ho admits to being the killer. Meanwhile, Kang is at the airport waiting for his daughter, but she never arrives. A stranger approaches him to give him an envelope sent by Sung-ho, and inside he finds pictures of his daughter Hye-won tied up. The stranger is already gone, so Kang can't ask him anything, and at that moment, Min calls him to tell him the killer was Sung-ho, the same person that sent the envelope. Kang hurries towards the station while he calls a friend at customs, who confirms Hye-won did arrive the other day as planned, and the delay had been a lie from the kidnappers. Back in the station, Yun is asking Sung-ho for the details, but he doesn't say anything, and only looks at the clock as if waiting for something. Kang arrives then and asks for a moment with Sung-ho, who isn't surprised to see him. His deal is simple. Kang must prove him innocent in 3 days or his daughter will die. Desperate to help Hye-won, Kang rushes to the lab to see what evidence has been found so far. The analyst shows him the blood-covered saw they found, but the DNA test hasn't been done yet. Kang takes a scalpel on his way out and goes home to use it on his dog. He also requests a psychiatric evaluation of the suspect to delay the investigation. Afterward, Kang calls the analyst and asks him to wait for him at the office. With him out of the lab, Kang sneaks inside, washes the saw, and covers it with the dog's blood instead. Min picks up test results at the lab and finds the analyst there. Sung Kang arrives and tells the analyst to finish his work before discussing the case with Min. Kang believes Sung-ho's limited mobility makes him an unlikely suspect and suggests waiting for the report before requesting a warrant. Kang visits Sung-ho in prison, asking for proof his daughter is alive. Sung-ho pretends to make a call, angering Kang. However, Kang's phone rings, and it's Hye-won, his daughter, asking for help before the call cuts off. Kang asks Sung-ho for the murder weapon's location, but Sung-ho only suggests Kang think about his motive for killing the girl. Kang breaks into Yuna's home and finds a business card, leading him to Eri, Yuna's friend. Eri doesn't recognize Sungho and mentions that Yuma had no significant men in her life except for Byungdu, a harasser. The next morning, the analyst gives Min the test results, revealing the blood on the saw is from a dog. At the station, Chifo is furious and demands the team find the murder weapon. Min, shamed for the failure, is asked to stay behind with paperwork. Meanwhile, Kang searches for Byungdu. When Min calls Kang for the autopsy report, he pretends to be at home sick. While talking to her, Kang sees Byungdu on the street and gets ready to catch him. But then Min mentions the cops are looking for the murder weapon, and Kang decides to take care of that first. Arriving like a maniac, Kang manages to arrive at Sungho's house first and finds a picture of him with Park, the stranger from the airport. At that moment, the police arrive, so Kang runs to hide, accidentally dropping the scalpel. On the way, the cops pick up the scalpel and find a crowbar with blood outside, taking it as the murder weapon. In the meantime, Min goes to Kang's house to check on him. Since he won't answer the bell, she gets inside by pulling the rope and finds the dog, who has a bandage around its blood-covered leg. Min takes the dog to the vet, who tells her the wound is a cut from a particularly sharp knife, perhaps a scalpel. The location of the wound indicates it's been made on purpose. Back to Kang. He goes to the local police station to send the picture to a police friend, but a cop there recognizes the boys and gives him the information he needs. Park was an orphan that Mr. Lee took in. He and Sungho grew up as brothers. Park and Sungho's sister Sujin had been dating, but after she died, they moved out of town. Kang goes to the Lee's abandoned childhood house by the river, and while most of it is empty, breaking into a locked room comes with a shocking discovery. The walls are covered with pictures of Yoon Ah and Hai Wan. There also are old news articles about a student that had been attacked by 3 boys from wealthy families, but these boys were declared innocent. Kang is at a house when Park arrives, causing Kang to flee. He gets hit by a car and is too weak to fight when he catches up to Park. Park beats him up, reminding him to follow the rules, and knocks him out. When Kang wakes up, he returns to the station, remembering the night his daughter got sick, and angrily punches a mirror. Later, Min takes a scalpel to the lab and recalls what the vet said. She asks the analyst if the lab was ever empty, and he mentions the night Kang had called him in. Min searches the office, finding the broken mirror and a picture of Sungho with Park. Kang visits Sungho in prison and confesses he now remembers who Sungho is. Sungho's sister, Sujin, was an abused girl, and old newspaper articles and Kang's autopsy report testimony had helped the criminals get free. Kang explains he was just doing his job and that the cops have the murder weapon now, so he can't help Sungho anymore. However, Sungho refuses to break the deal and tells Kang to find a way. Meanwhile, detectives discover the crowbar isn't the actual murder weapon because the blood doesn't match Yuna's, and its thickness doesn't match the wound. After visiting Sungho, Kang bumps into Min, who tries to arrest him for tampering with evidence. Kang explains his daughter is in trouble but leaves without giving Min any more information. Min decides to research Kang and discovers his involvement in Sujin's case. Not only Kang had been in charge of the autopsy, Yune had been one of the witnesses. Min tries to talk to Sungho about it, but he only tells her not to trust Kang before giving her his Kang, claiming it's the real murder weapon. In the meantime, Kang finds Byungdu again and calls Eri to help him with a plan. Eri approaches Byungdu to have a drink with him at a bar and then takes him to a hotel room where they spend a few hours together. Kang retrieves the glass Byungdu used, and Eri brings him Byungdu's seat before accepting her pay, although she did this because she wants revenge for Yune. Suddenly, Kang is approached by Min, who received a call from Park to tell her about Kang's whereabouts. However, Park shows up as well and knocks Min out to give Kang time to finish his plan. While Min is taken to a hospital, Kang returns to the lab to finally do the autopsy report. He plants Byungdu's fingerprint and seed inside the body. Thus, his final report makes him look like the killer. While working, he remembers the trial of Sujin's case, where Yune had testified that she saw Sujin with the boys, and she had looked like she was having fun. Such testimony made Mr. Lee cry out in the middle of the trial because they were sullying his daughter's name. Then Kang testified that there hadn't been any torn tissue found in the body, so there wasn't any proof of violence or force. These 2 testimonies made the judge decide that the 3 boys were innocent. By the time the detectives tried to prosecute Sungho, he's following Kang's plan and has gotten himself a lawyer that explains his confession had been done under duress, and he's now taking it back. The cane matched the shape of the wound, but it didn't have blood on it, and the footprints can be explained by the fact Sungho lives in the area, so they can't be used as proof either. Then the autopsy report arrives, and the detectives have no choice but to let Sungho go and arrest Byungdu instead. When Sungho leaves the police station, Park picks him up, and Kang follows them to their house. Meanwhile, at the hospital, a friend of Min's brings her information about Sujin's case. It turns out there were 2 different autopsy reports, and one included tissue damage, meaning Kang gave false testimony. Min suspects that wealthy parents of the boys involved in the case paid off witnesses, making the case a mess. All the boys are dead now, and Mins thinks Kang might be next. Mins leaves the hospital to look for Kang and asks her coworkers to send a unit to Sungho's house. However, while waiting at a stoplight, she recalls an abandoned childhood home by the river and decides to go there instead. At Sung-ho's house, Kang shows up to apologize for Sujin and demands to know where his daughter is. Sung-ho doesn't believe the apology and hits Kang for tarnishing his sister's name. This causes Kang to remember more details about that day. His daughter Hai-won had been sick with a rare illness requiring treatment in the USA. To pay for it, Kang accepted a bribe from the boy's parents to change his testimony. Mr. Lee, Sujin's father, had approached Kang to ask for mercy, but Kang ignored him while a young Sung-ho watched from afar. In the present, Kang begs Sung-ho to kill him instead of his daughter. Sung-ho, filled with hatred from his past, explains that it's too late for mercy. Enraged, Kang attacks Sung-ho and forces him to reveal Hai-won's location. Kang drives recklessly to the location, almost colliding with a detective unit. Min arrives at the river house and encounters Park, who tries to kill her. She shoots him in self-defense and discovers the disturbing revenge Sung-ho has planned for Kang. When Kang arrives, Min tries to warn him, but he ignores her and searches for his daughter. He finds Hai-won lying on rose petals, but realizes her body is missing, with only her head and limbs there. She had been dead all along, and the messages Kang heard were recorded before she was killed. Her body had been used to replace Yuna's during the autopsy, so Kang unknowingly tampered with evidence involving his own daughter. As Kang despairs, Sung-ho appears and tells him now he understands Sung-ho's pain. Kang, furious, takes Min's gun and shoots Sung-ho, claiming that's what Sung-ho wanted. Overcome with guilt, Kang then turns the gun on himself and ends his own life.